Imagine you travel back 2,000 years in time. You see an incredible person across the fire. Your heart races. And so you do the most natural thing in the world. You walk over to talk. Wrong. Huge mistake. Because for most of human history, you didn't choose who you ended up with. You didn't swipe right. You didn't feel a spark. And here's the most uncomfortable detail of all. For a big chunk of that time, you had a price. Yes, a value. Like a cow, a sack of wheat, a plot of land. What do you mean you had a price? And how did we get from that to, can I take you out sometime? To that word we throw around without a second thought. Dating? Hold on to that question, because the answer is a lot stranger than it seems. Let me guess what you think you know. You probably imagine that, way back then, people fell in love more or less the way we do, just with funnier clothes and a little more shyness. The couple would lock eyes, feel those butterflies in the stomach, and then, with all the modesty of the era, get closer, get to know each other, and eventually marry. Love first, marriage second. Makes sense, right? After all, love is universal. We feel it in our chest. It seems like the most human and most ancient thing there is. And this is where I have to stop you. Because that sweet little story of love guiding the choice, it's almost entirely made up. And not made up centuries ago, made up yesterday. Here's the twist. For nearly all of human history, marriage had nothing to do with love. And, even more shocking, a lot of the time, it had nothing to do with you. The one who chose wasn't the couple. It was the families, the parents, the uncles, the elders, sometimes the entire village. And the criterion wasn't passion, it was business. Pause. Let that sink in. Marriage was one of the most important contracts two families could sign. It joined lands together. It sealed alliances between groups. It secured labor, heirs, protection. It was economics. It was politics. It was pure survival. And inside that contract, the person became an item. The feelings? A bonus. If they happened, great. If they didn't, tough luck. What mattered was the spreadsheet. And yes, there was a spreadsheet. Now comes the part nobody tells you. Let's go down, layer by layer, to the bottom of this market logic. First layer, you literally had a market value. In countless societies around the world, getting married involved a transfer of goods, and there were two opposite systems, almost mirror images of each other. In one of them, the groom's family paid. It's what anthropologists call the bride price: cattle, food, metal, labor, handed over to her family as compensation. Why? Because that family was losing a person. The daughter, her hands, the children she would bear. Somebody had to pay for that. In the other system, it was the bride's family that put together a dowry, money, jewelry, land, to hand over along with her, a package to make the young woman more attractive in the marriage market. Get what that means? There was a market, with supply, demand, and a going rate. And here's the question that hangs in the air. If there was a price, what made the price go up? Second layer. The traits that made you valuable weren't the ones you'd imagine. Forget sense of humor and good conversation. What inflated your value were much colder things. Your family's reputation, honor, name, standing. Your health and the promise that you'd bear strong children. Your practical skills, weaving, farming, hunting, running a household. And, in a great many cultures, for women, chastity. A seal of guarantee that the heirs would be legitimate. Notice that almost none of this is about the person as an individual. It's all about what they deliver to the contract. You weren't chosen for who you were assessed for what you produced. And look at the next layer, because it dismantles an even bigger myth. Third layer. Passion wasn't just ignored, it was seen as a danger. This is the hardest one for us to swallow today. Truly falling in love, that overwhelming obsession? Many ancient thinkers and many traditional cultures treated it as a threat, a kind of fever, a temporary madness that could push you into the worst decision possible. choosing the wrong person for the wrong reasons. Notice the total inversion. Today, marrying without love sounds like a tragedy. In that world, marrying for love was the reckless thing. Love was what threatened the alliance, not what built it. Affection was expected to come afterward, growing bit by bit inside the marriage, as a consequence, never as a cause. And then, the question that ties it all together. If it was like this for thousands of years, when did we flip that switch? When did love take the wheel? And where on earth did that word come from? Dating. Fourth layer. Dating is the living proof of a recent revolution. Come with me to the origin of the word. To date, in this sense, comes from setting a date, a specific day and time when two people would meet, on their own, apart from the family. The very phrase gives away something new. It assumes there's a couple arranging to see each other of their own accord, exactly what, for centuries, the system tried to prevent. In other words, dating, in the sense of two people choosing each other and courting by their own will and affection, describes a behavior that, for most of history, barely existed as we know it. And the modern format, going out alone, getting to know each other, going somewhere public without the family breathing down your neck, is even newer. It really explodes at the start of the 20th century with a whole new world. People leaving the countryside for the city, living far from family, with their own paycheck, lit-up streets, movie theaters, cafes, and, the game changer, the car. A private room on wheels, far from the parents' eyes. It was only then, historically right next to us, that the choice moved from the family's hands into the couple's hands. Love stopped being the danger to avoid and became the official reason for everything. And that little word we use today without thinking, I'm dating someone, carries, hidden inside it, that entire revolution. So notice the size of the reversal. We thought love always guided the choice, and that passion is the most ancient thing there is. But the truth is the opposite. For nearly all of history, the choice was business, love was suspect, and you were, in fact, an item with a price in a negotiation between families. The choosing for love that we swear is eternal is a freshly bloomed flower. And here comes the delicious discomfort. Did those old gears really disappear? When someone today sizes up the family, the job, the status, the potential of a partner, isn't that the old bride price whispering again, just without saying its name? Did the spreadsheet leave the stage, or did it just turn invisible? Here's the truth. Even the most intimate thing you feel, this urge to choose someone to call your own, has a history far stranger, far more recent, and far more interesting than you ever imagined. And if even dating was invented, what else in your life that you swear is natural and eternal was invented too?